Great. I hope everyone can hear me. So really nice to meet you all and welcome to today's residency session. My name's Jen and I'm going to introduce myself in a bit, but I'm really excited to try something new with you all, and we'll be specifically working with Unreal Engine today and to stream digital fashion items on an avatar to platforms such as Twitch, YouTube, or we can even all jump on to Discord as an avatar with some with some kind of like digital fashion items on us. So really excited to be doing that. And I promise the workflow will be very simple, so you'll be able to kind of follow step by step. So first of all, let me introduce myself. So again, my name's Jen. My day job is I primarily work as a lecturer in creative technology and design at UAL at the London College of Fashion here in Stratford, London. I also work on the side as a technical artist. So primarily I also work with Offworld Live, which is a tech company that specializes in making Unreal Engine streaming plugins. So I am a Unreal Engine content creator for them. It is also a research and development group where we develop different kind of game development, motion capture, asset optimization assets for everyone. So my main kind of research area is in playtesting different emerging technology and also different forms of interaction design. I've also been very lucky to have exhibited at different places before, which I'll go through some of the past projects. So the first project I've been involved in, not first project, but one of the projects I've been involved in, which I was very grateful for, is for the Ghost Stories film by Jivomir Demischiev. I collaborated with Jivomir on creating this digital fashion film, which is 10-minute long and all rendered in Unreal Engine. And it was then exhibited as a part of London Fashion Week at W1 Curates in East London. And for this, we have basically created a set of digital fashion collection, which was originally designed as a physical collection, which we've then mapped on Clo and rigged to metahuman characters, and then built an environment and then rendered in Unreal. So all of these characters are animated and then rendered as a very long, I think it was 23 meters long LED wall. So it was rendered as a very long aspect ratio that was then exhibited at W1 Curates. So as part of this kind of campaign, we've also developed different reels, and these were rendered in Blender. I can probably take the sound off. And since then, we've worked on a second iteration of this project, which was then very lucky to be invited to showcase at Epic Games Innovation Lab for the February Fashion Week. And in here, here's like a silent render of the environment and the kind of panel dress that Jivomir has designed. So really my kind of experience has been adding decorations and outfits to metahumans. And then today we'll be also adapting that and streaming your avatar in from Unreal to different platforms. Apart from kind of working with, so this was the kind of exhibition at Epic Games Innovation Lab in London. It was hosted by Digital Fashion Week New York and Mad Global. And so you can see the kind of like virtual production stage at the back and models in the front. Very, very cool experience. But before that, I worked as a technical artist. So my role was to make sure that different digital fashion outfits can be fitted on different characters and rigged to different characters so that they can be animated for specific different kind of character protocols, you can say. So on the left here, we can see Ready Player Me characters, and then we have Sandbox, and then this is a custom metahuman, and then we have the more kind of normal metahumans. But one thing that's worth thinking about is that every piece of digital fashion item, if they were to be rigged to a character, they must be weight painted and skinned to a skeleton. So different characters have different skeleton structures and protocols, and so that's something to keep in mind of while you're designing your digital fashion assets. Another thing that I used to do a lot is on weight painting, so rigging and skinning. Some of you might already know that 3D assets, for 3D assets to be animated on a character's body, it has to be weight painted so that we know that some parts of the meshes are assigned to, for example, the spine, and some parts of the outfit is assigned to the legs. So as you can see here, there's a lot of kind of like skinning test animations to kind of monitor and see how digital fashion items can behave like fabrics, or it can also behave as kind of static objects on the body. Also done some renders from my previous job at Gravity Layer. And apart from that, I've also done some live discussions at a SHOWStudio to talk about kind of my experience as a kind of technical artist. And alongside this, my interest kind of grew out from digital fashion to different character configurations. So this film is commissioned by DIS and is featured on Do Not Research. And then it was originally modeled after Julia Fox as an AI character. So it was originally created as an in-game NPC, so non-player character, using one of Convi's conversational AI plugin. So we trained her voice using Descript, and she could act like an NPC in a game. And so we brought her to the kind of filmscapes. And here's a little teaser of the film.
Hey, Jen, just letting you know that we don't have audio, if that was intended.
Yeah, let me try to see if I can stream audio. Let me see.
Thank you, thank you.
Let's have a look. Are you able to hear any audio? Here.
No, still not.
Oh, that doesn't matter too much. But yeah, so it was just a teaser for this film. But feel free to have a look. I think the film's already up. The film's already up on DIS website, so feel free to have a look. But I'll make sure nothing's got sound in it in this PowerPoint afterwards. I think so. I think there isn't much. So apart from that, I also started my kind of like teaching journey through this project, community project Xalon, which was working to make networked environments collaborative in the kind of educational space. So me and two friends led a program at the Architectural Association here in London, and we led this summer school program where lots of students got to try out connecting from their Unity projects to Quest headsets experience their environments. And a lot of them are architectural designers, so they're really excited to kind of see how immersive environments could operate. And alongside that, it would be nice to have sound for this. Is there any way that I can configure sound to be outputted here? I feel like I could try.
Are you doing this from a MacBook or
I'm on a
PC?
Windows. I'm on a PC, yeah.
You should be able to stream the actual application itself instead of your whole screen.
Yes, that might work. Screening slideshow. So I worked on this project in the summer, not too long ago, just this summer, called Data Dolly Xalon. And it is an Unreal project, but formed around VTubing and being extremely online as a part of the kind of room construction. And so this room is constructed as a citational codex with a lot of references to swarm behaviors and echo state networks and volunteer computing. So it's embedded as a narrative environment, but it explores a lot of kind of niche internet subcultures. This is also an AI NPC, streaming and researching in her own time, but this is also, everything is built in Unreal, and we'll see if the audio works here. So there's no audio yet, but it will come.
Yeah, it works.
Amazing. So over time, I think we've adapted to a lot more forms of interaction. I think from the summer or from this year, a lot of people were really interested to initiate conversations with different AI large language models, such as ChatGPT. However, there are different ways to interface with these types of models, and particularly I'm really interested in bringing these interactions to organic game environments. So for this project, I've kind of used not the Convai conversational plugin, but in-world AI, which allows you to build interactivity and kind of like dialogue systems with these AI NPCs. So this project was kind of framed around that, which was super fun to make, and it didn't really take too long. So a lot of these projects can be done super quickly, which is the goal of kind of introducing these tools to you today. I've also worked on more kind of like different types of aesthetics, you can say. And apart from the more kind of commercial, more projects with more commercial appeal, I've also worked on some commissions such as this one. So this was a recent commission that I've spent a day or two on, but particularly what I was interested in kind of real-time ways to drive animation changes. So I've kind of done some quick blueprints to distort the face of a supposedly metahuman character. And then alongside that, I sometimes do kind of more game dev, which is just on game logic and navigation systems, that type of stuff. which brings us to the final project that I'm going to kind of briefly introduce, which is the VTuber studio that I've worked closely with Offworld Live for. This project is a kind of VTuber studio template on Unreal Engine that is completely open source. I might just play this while I'm speaking over it. So as you can see on this project, there are quite a lot of elements to it, but particularly it was this hub or a template that you can download and open in your Unreal Engine. Again, it's open source, so it's free to use, and it's also free to use commercially. I can talk about licenses after, but it's it's free to use and it's commercial. All the assets are free for you to distribute and modify. So particularly this VTuber studio project includes a lot of capture systems and streaming media output options, and you can also stream media into Unreal. Alongside that, I've built different types of full body tracking. So a lot of you might have already used LiveLink or Unreal. So using LiveLink to drive facial animations on Unreal. Apart from that, we've also used an external application called XR Animator, which communicates with Unreal via a protocol called VMC, which is virtual motion capture, I believe. And it includes this kind of animation blueprint that supports metahuman animation. So as you can see in that video earlier, there's this full body tracking thing where it was using our webcam to drive poses, different kind of pose changes in the metahuman. And finally, we've also got Twitch integration. So there's a plugin that one of my friends built for this project, which is free to use, allowing you to, once you have that plugin in your project, you're able to receive chat messages on your stream. You can also send chat messages. You can also see if people have followed you or subscribed to you, or even sent you like a cheer or reward or channel points, something like that. So it's quite like a comprehensive free project. So I would really recommend. But that was a very long self-introduction. And today we're primarily looking at streaming digital fashion in Unreal Engine through the Offworld live streaming toolkit. So I think it would be really useful for me to walk through all the steps and to do it all together. So the workflow today is that we'll be creating a third-person template project in Unreal Engine, and we'll be importing a metahuman or any character that is compatible with LiveLink in your scene. We'll be also attaching different 3D assets to this metahuman. So I'm not sure if some of you have already kind of collated assets or have designed assets previously that you want this metahuman to wear. I'm going to bypass all the kind of annoying rigging and skinning for this session, and will be fun and just attach an object on the body for now. And we'll be using LiveLink so that you can act as your metahuman. And I'll probably explain slightly on rigging and transferring weights, but we might be able to ignore that today, which is great. And then I'll explain a little more about the Offworld live streaming toolkit and what you can do with it. And we'll open up to questions while I switch from this face now to my VTuber character. So really exciting kind of workflow, and should be simple enough for you to follow in the recording afterwards as well. So first of all, we're going to create a third-person template project. So I'm just going to do this on the side now, and I'm going to switch my streaming window. So for those of you who are new to Unreal Engine, you will know that Unreal Engine runs from Epic Games Launcher. So this is a launcher that you should be able to see over here. It is a launcher that houses all the Unreal Engine versions you might be able to download in the library tab over here. I currently have 3 versions on my laptop, but you are free to have any today for this tutorial. So for this, you will need some time to install the engine if you haven't done that. But for the purpose of today, I'll be using 5.2.1 as my engine version. I've already created a project previously, but if you are creating a new project, please feel free to click on Launch over here. After you click on the Launch button, you'll find this browser window opening up. So once you see that, all you need to do is navigate to this second row. So under Games, you will find a bunch of template projects for you to start from. The template we're going to choose is the third-person template project today. And we'll be specifically using starter content as well. So you can kind of add content and materials into your project super quickly. So I would first then click on third-person template and then click on starter content. And once that's done, so if you forgot to check this box earlier, don't worry. As long as you have a third-person project, that's all fine. So if you've forgotten that, you can then open up this project. And then inside content browser, content drawer, just click on it once. Add feature or content pack. And then you're able to navigate to content and click on starter content and add to projects. That shouldn't take too long either. But once you have a project open, you'll see something probably exactly like this, where we have the third-person map open. And for those of you who are new to Unreal Engine, this is the Unreal Engine viewport where you can navigate, rotate, and pan. And you can also use, if you're also a gamer, this is great because Unreal Engine is designed for kind of keyboard controls. So we use WASD for different controls. Great. So feel free to leave any comments in the chat and I'll be able to answer any questions in real time if you come across any problems doing that. The next thing we're going to do is to import a MetaHuman or other ARKit compatible characters. And so depending on your Wi-Fi's bandwidth, this might take some time, but I'll be talking through it while you're doing that. But if you are new to Unreal Engine, there is under content drawer, if you click add, you will find Quixel content. So you can think of Quixel as a library of assets you can take free of charge and use free of charge for any of your projects. So if I click on add Quixel content now, you might be prompted to log into Epic Games, which is a very easy account setup. All of that is fine. So I'm just going to quickly do my logins. Give me a second. So I've just logged in, and you will find that in Quixel Bridge, there is a tab on MetaHumans. So you're free to, for the convenience of today's session, feel free to just install and download any one of these MetaHumans. If you're working with 5.2 Unreal Engine, you could then use the 2.0 MetaHuman presets. And if you want to kind of just save time and bandwidth, you might want to install or download lower quality MetaHumans. I'm not sure if you can change the kind of quality, but you should be able to choose different quality. There's low, medium, and high. And depending on the kind of quality, the texture sizes will vary and it will take different time. So while you're downloading your MetaHumans, I'm just going to cheat. And I've copied and pasted the free VTuber Studio assets in this project. And when you download the MetaHumans and add them to the project, you will find the exact same structure. So under content, you will see MetaHumans then added to your project. And once you click on it, it will be the name of the name of the MetaHuman will be the name of the folder. So for today's purpose, I'm using the MetaHuman from the VTuber project, and you will find this blueprint on the side of your project. So you will find BP MetaHuman 1. To add this blueprint into your scene, you can then quickly drag and drop into your viewport. So once you do that, I can then use my controls to kind of focus in on my character. And when your character first happens, I'm pretty sure it has normal skin and not purple like my customized one. But I've literally just done that by replacing materials and changing the color of the textures to achieve this effect. So you might have a MetaHuman with kind of like with the original MetaHuman textures. So that's the only difference you're going to get out of this. But once you are in the MetaHuman, once the MetaHuman is in the scene, we can then proceed to our next steps. So we have imported a MetaHuman and other, and if you were to use some characters that you've designed, that's also fine for today. I'm also going to do a bit of work to then customize this characters later. But first, we'll need to import your digital fashion assets. So I've mentioned earlier that you can import your assets as an FBX, and then we'll attach that to the MetaHuman body. So in order to do that, we can just go into Unreal itself. And under Content Drawer, I usually will create a new folder for assets. So you're free to click New Folder. I've already created an assets folder here, which inside I have housed all my different outfits and glasses, so on and so forth, glasses and headphones. So in MetaHuman, if you click Import, you can then select a specific FBX file you have. I think you are also able to, so I think FBX is, or USD are supported. And I can go through the kind of conversion if you're using OBJ or DAE, so on and so forth. But primarily Unreal Engine uses FBX, which is pretty kind of universal at the moment. So I have just imported different assets and meshes as FBX into the scene. You will find that there are two types of meshes that you can import into Unreal. One is a static mesh. So a static mesh is something like this pair of glasses. It is essentially any mesh that's not tied to a skeleton. And what a skeletal mesh is that it is what a skeletal mesh is that it is tied to a skeleton. So as I mentioned before, Ready Player Me or sandboxes will have different skeletons depending on the kind of makeup of the character. And so these outfits were originally skinned to the MetaHuman bone. Because I've kind of like transferred my assets from one project to another, these might not be linked perfectly, but that's completely fine. We don't really need to use anything skeletal meshes today. We'll only need the most important part is that I can show you how to attach items to the body, and I can also hopefully show you how to stream out of it. So let's say you only have a static mesh, and the next thing I'm going to do is edit in Blueprint. Inside Edit in Blueprint, you will find the viewport with your MetaHuman in the middle. You should have a details panel on the right and a hierarchy of your components on the left. So when you first open a MetaHuman blueprint, you'll find that the MetaHuman blueprint 1 is the kind of basis or the root of the blueprint. So what a blueprint is that in traditional games programming, previously things were made as scripts, but blueprints are, you can think of it as a node-based interface for different designers or artists to easily communicate with each game object. So you can think of anything as a game object that's attached to a parent. So let's say, do I have any examples? So let's say if you're staring at me right now, my headphones move because my head moves. So you can think of my head as the parent of my headphones, same as necklace, so on and so forth. So it's very similar in the MetaHuman blueprint, where you have the root and the body as the main vessel of your blueprint. Attached to your body are different kind of skeletal mesh components, which you can attach. For example, under the feet component, you can attach shoes to them, and under legs, you can attach trousers. Torso, you can attach upper body kind of clothing to them. Then we have the face, that's also attached to the body. So you can think of the face as the child of the body. And on the face, we have different groom assets, which are kind of like assets related to hair in Unreal. And so for the purpose of today, your MetaHuman will look exactly like this. But what we want to do is attach your digital fashion items to this character. So what I'm going to do now is click on Add, and then go into Static Mesh, which is the type of mesh I've imported into Unreal. The first static mesh I'd like to attach, I'm going to rename this now, is a pair of glasses that I've imported into Unreal. So as you can see, these are the glasses I'm referring to. But you are also free to use any type of mesh you've designed. And once you see that the glasses, once you click on glasses, you'll find that there is a static mesh on the right that's prompting for you to choose what static mesh is assigned to this object. So I'm going to click glasses 1. And you can see that it is currently tied to the root or the origin of this blueprint, and it's not where we want it to be attached to. So one thing I'd like to draw your attention to is the parent socket, and this is really a magical thing. So a socket you can think of as a magnet for your static mesh to tie to a specific part of your body. And as mentioned, characters are rigged, so they have a skeleton to refer to which mesh is assigned to which part of the kind of skeleton. So if I hover above select a different parent socket icon, which looks like this folder with a magnifier button here, I'll be able to kind of click on a specific parent socket. So if we think of where to place our glasses, it's usually on the head. So I'm just going to click on parent socket as a head. And you'll find that instantly the glasses have been moved to that position, which is where the head is. And now we just have to experiment with rotation. I have forgotten all the rotation systems in Unreal, so bear with me. It's not 90 degrees this way, but it might be this way. So it's minus 90 on the pitch for rotation to happen, and you can now freely move this pair of glasses so that it looks attached to the MetaHuman. Great. And I just want to customize this pair of glasses a little more. So we have the chrome for the kind of frame. I mean, I haven't really spent too much time modeling these glasses, so I've just done them really quickly. And I think the middle, kind of the lenses aren't assigned a material yet, so I'm going to do that now. Hopefully, in the starter content, we have inherited enough glass materials from starter content. So whenever I make enough changes that I think is enough for me to save, I will always click compile and save. So that's a really good habit to build. So as you can see, using the starter content, we have beautiful materials that we can use straight out of the bag. So plug and play materials, great. So this is what my character looks like now. And I'm just gonna repeat the process a little more because I have imported a few more static meshes. I'm gonna click on face and static mesh. Oops, it's moved somewhere else, so I'm going to do that and return to normal. -90 on the y-axis, bring it back, and bring it to the front. Just zooming in to make sure it's looking right. That's about all right. And then I have also added another static mesh. Instead of glasses 1, I'm going to rename this to headphones maybe. And in here, I'm going to select another static mesh from the content drawer, and I'm going to drag it into the static mesh space. As you can see, when you drag and hold the item, there is that kind of hint blue box that's hinting you to assign your static mesh there. So I'm just going to release. And you will see that the headphones are gently released here in the center. What we need to do now is, again, assign the headphones to the head socket. And this will take a bit of time just moving around, making sure that the rotations are right, and moving the headset down to an origin position. So if you are a 3D artist, one thing I truly, truly recommend that you always have to do is make sure that your static meshes are positioned in the origin or 000 when you export the item. This is super useful because I've had a lot of time wasted just trying to position assets in Unreal Engine. If they're not already at the origin space, it's a bit hard to handle. And again, I'm going to use starter content materials. Previously, I was using this copper material from starter content. So a very quick way to assign a lot of materials at the same time, if you don't know already, is to click the browse to metal copper in content browser. And then it'll instantly pop up where that object is located in your content browser. And an extremely quick way to fill up all these material slots is to click Use Selected Asset from Content Browser. So I'm going to do that 8 times. And now you can see all the material slots are assigned with copper. Of course, we are free to kind of change the materials a little more, but again, for the purpose of today's tutorial, this is a very easy way to do this. Finally, I'm just going to add maybe another static mesh just for fun. I'm going to assign it to the face hierarchy. I'm going to use, I think it's called a necklace. And it's a chrome, that's fine. And I'll make sure it's at 0, 0, and -90. And I want it to be, seems like the rotations are very different. So I'm just going to assign it to the head socket again. -90. Move this back in place. You might want to scale it depending on how you've exported your assets again. So let's say it kind of looks all right. I'm just going to leave it there. It's a lot of just refining that we don't need to do now. So great. Your character is now wearing specific 3D assets that you've designed. And next, we're going to, we've already done this by attaching static or skeletal mesh to a metahuman and parent it to the socket. The next thing we're going to do is set up live link. Unfortunately, this workflow is extremely unfair to people who are Android users, specifically because Unreal has designed live link to work so well on iPhones. For Android users, feel free to contact me. I have an alternative option for all of you, but live link is the easiest way for your iPhone to capture your face and then communicate with Unreal Engine directly. So a lot of you have already heard of live link, I'm sure. It was really popular and a lot of people were talking about it, and it does produce amazing results for face animation. So first thing we're going to do is go to Apple Store on your iPhone and download live link. So I'm just going to search up the live link on App Store. So this is the application you'll need, and it is built by Unreal Engine from Epic Games to capture your face and to produce high fidelity animation data to then be streamed to Unreal. And for those of you who already have live link on your phone, you'll see that your character is now dressed. I might just give the character an outfit first. Sorry. This is not rigged properly, so we don't really need to see it work perfectly. I'm just going to, we will only be focusing on the upper body today while we're streaming. So let's say this is the outfit that we're going to go for, and it's just going to look like this. And now we will need to make sure that Unreal Engine is able to detect from your phone the kind of data you're streaming in. So when you first open Live Link, you will find the kind of just a second. You will find that on this interface there is the cogwheel, which is the settings. So you'll need to first click on it and click on the first on the first subject called Live Link, and in there you will need to add or set a target. So in order for Unreal Engine to detect your phone, you'll need to know what your IPv4 address is. So your IPv4 address can be found under your Wi-Fi. So for example, you can find under your network and internet settings, Wi-Fi IPv4 address. So this is the address you'll need to put in your Live Link app. Alternatively, I think this works probably across different computers. So you might be on a Mac. If you open up Command Prompt, you are also able to get. I think in Mac, I don't know if it's ifconfig, but for PCs, Windows, you can type in ipconfig and you're gonna get a lot of kind of addresses for yourself. So look for IPv4 and type that in as a target on your phone. And once that is done, while you're opening the app, you will see that currently, if you open up from Windows, I believe it's virtual production, and then click on Live Link, you'll find this window popped up. You'll be able to detect what's streaming data into Unreal Engine at the moment. And in here, I've located my iPhone, which is great. What I need to do now is to just go to ARKit Face Subject, select the same subject, which is the iPhone, and I'll click Use ARKit Face. For some of you, this might be automatically already working, but for me, I need to select the corresponding animation blueprints first. So first, if you click on Face, I will go to the second tab, which is Animation. And inside Animation, we need to assign an animation class to your MetaHuman. So if you've downloaded your MetaHuman from Quixel directly, this should be automatically assigned. And you'll see that the MetaHuman now is tracking to my face while I speak. So hopefully that all looks fine to you all. I'm just going to open up. And feel free to just jump in if you have any questions. So you will see that the face is tracking now. That's all perfect. Next thing we're going to do is go on our website. And you will need to navigate to Off-World Live Resources Download Center for today's tutorial. This plugin allows us to stream outside from Unreal Engine to different platforms, or to use different things in Unreal Engine as your virtual webcam, for example. So in here, you will find the Unreal Engine Toolkit. I've selected 5.2 as my Unreal Engine, and plugin version is 209, and I'll download it as a zip. When you click on it, you'll get the same. When you click on it, you will get the same window here, allowing you to register for this toolkit. Again, here it says the plugin is free, but it requires registration. So for your first time, you'll need to register with your email. And for me, I've already registered, so I'm going to just sign in with Google. And automatically, it should download the plugin. So I'm just going to let that download for now. It's only going to take 20 seconds or so. And for those of you who need a bit of visuals, you'll need to install the Off-World Live Livestream Toolkit plugin with this link. So I've also sent it in the chat if you want to install it alongside the tutorial. And you'll select the right Unreal version and then click Free Download as a zip file. This is quite important. So now, mine should be already downloaded. And I can locate that in my downloads folder already over here. So next thing I'm going to do is I need to locate where my Unreal project is. So my Unreal project is saved under my documents and my GitHub folder, but it might be saved differently depending on where you've chosen it. So I'm going to save all on my Unreal project file, and I'm going to just quit this project at the moment. Don't worry, everything's going to come back as normal. So once I've located my file, which is under Users, Documents, GitHub, VCA, Residency, I'll need to first create a new folder inside this project repository. I'm going to click New and create a new folder. You can do this on Mac as well. Add a plugin. And I will extract the zip file. And so it's just extracting in my downloads folder. And once that's extracted, we just need to copy in what's in the plug. We just need to copy the assets inside this zip file in the plugins. Once we reboot the file and open up Unreal again, we'll see new options in our interface to stream and use the kind of use the toolkit to stream outside of Unreal. So I'm just going to let this unzip for a bit. But first, let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to type in the chat. So that should come soon. And once that's ready, we can then drag all the assets into this plugins folder that we've created for the third-person template project. Great. So again, it's automatically popped up. I'm literally going to just move this entire folder into plugins of my VCA residency project. And now you can see that it's moved, and we can then open up our third-person template again. So we've already done this to create a folder, name it plugins, and then we can start using this as a, we can start exploiting the kind of functionalities of this toolkit. I'm just going to show you quickly what I've built for VTuber Studio. It's kind of this full body pose tracking thing at the moment. And it uses the kind of plugin for streaming out of Unreal. So there's CineCam, there's a 360 capture, so on and so forth, which you can then stream to YouTube and Twitch. So that's really, really interesting. For now, this is all. We've returned to our Unreal project already. And I'm just positioning my iPhone next to me. And you can see this is all updating. The next thing we're going to do really is choose under adding content. You can find the new Off-World Live options now visible and open up to you. I'm going to click the CineCam capture. And you'll see that the CineCam capture isn't really the preview on the corner isn't really showing anything. This just means that the camera isn't focused to the MetaHuman. So a very quick way to do this is to click on this perspective button, go to Owl CineCam Capture as place cameras, and then in your outliner, click on MetaHuman and press F. This means focus. So you're just quickly focusing on your MetaHuman, like so. You'll see that it's super blurry usually. What we need to do is click on the Owl CineCam Capture again. Scroll down. In focus settings, you can use manual or tracking. I'll show you both. In manual, you can click on this eyedropper, click on the MetaHuman, and it's going to be so much clearer. And if you also know a bit about cameras, you can change the aperture so that it can focus on deeper in the scene. So this is working all right for me now, and I'm just going to let it happen. Before we need to stream out of Unreal, we will need to create a texture target. What this is a render target that takes what your camera is capturing, and then we are able to use this texture and feed it to different media outputs. I'll demonstrate very quickly what this is, but for now, if you just click on this little drop-down menu and click on create new asset, render target. So let me do that again. Create new asset, render target. Save this render target anywhere convenient on your project. I'm just going to name this new texture render target 2D. And now, if you double click into this asset, it's basically capturing what the CineCam is showing us real time. So now we're able to then change it up and hopefully stream this to different platforms. I'm going to add another item called OWL virtual webcam output. So it will automatically add this into the scene. And we'll need to assign an input render target in this virtual webcam. So now I've assigned it to the virtual webcam output. I'm going to click active. And I'll see if the magic can happen. Let me do that. Let me just save everything. I'm going to try to turn off my camera in this Discord. I'm going to click. I see. I might have to like quit and do that again, which is not ideal. But I can open up a Google Meet. I can open up a quick Google Meet to show you how it works. So I'm going to click on Google Meets and create a new meeting. Start an instant meeting. And it will probably compete with my video texture now. But what we can do is in settings, change this to the off-world live virtual camera. So this camera should be starting now. Perfect. And in Google Meets, you can then join as your metahuman. Unfortunately, I've added weird background again. So let me switch this off on effects. And this is exactly the scene that we're looking at from Unreal. And so if you move this camera out, it will just track on your Google Meets again. So this is a really quick way to become your avatar and kind of wear different digital assets. As you can see, it's quite simple to use, and the toolkit's super intuitive, really. So I really recommend just trying it. It's free of charge for a non-commercial user. So obviously, really good to have free assets in your pocket. Another thing I wanted to introduce a little is a lot of you might be also streamers. So another thing that you might want to use is in add asset media output. So I'm going to delete the virtual webcam output for now because we won't need it. But what we can do is use this OWL media output object and click stream to RTMP. So RTMP is short for real-time messaging protocol. And each streaming platform, such as Twitch or YouTube, will have different stream URLs and stream key. Just to demonstrate, some of you might use Twitch, and everyone in your dashboard will find in settings, stream, you'll find your primary stream key. This is a super private thing. So I'm just going to copy it without you seeing what is actually the stream key. And then I'll copy and paste this into RTMP settings stream key. Oops, some of you might have seen it. So I'm going to quickly navigate away from that. Next thing we need is the stream URL for Twitch. So I can just Google this usually. I'm going to type stream Twitch URL RTMP. So this is the kind of URL that we'll need. I'm going to scroll down and select the same texture render target, and I'm going to hit start. So now my stream should have started from inside Unreal, and I'm just going to navigate to my stream manager. And you can see that I'm streaming directly into Unreal at the moment. I'm streaming directly into Twitch at the moment, and you can just become your favorite VTuber as a metahuman. There's loads of streamers. If you want to just be a game streamer and act as a character, this is a quick way for you to stream directly out of Unreal. So this is basically the kind of like main building block of today's tutorial. I'm going to go back to Unreal now and hit stop. Just going to show you super quickly what else you can do with the live streaming toolkit. So I'm going to delete the Cinecam capture and delete media output. Another thing that's really, really cool is the 360 cam capture. I love this so much because it just looks so cool. So I'm going to, because I've deleted all the other cameras, there won't be any conflicting selections. In the 360 cam capture, I'm going to use the same render target. Again, I'm going to do the same thing of hitting on the perspective, make sure I'm placing, my place camera is focusing on my metahuman. So I'll go to my metahuman, hit F for focus, go up. So this is the 360 view that I'm focusing on. And yeah, that's looking fine. Now we can also stream this texture. Instead of a cube map, I feel like an equirectangular texture is quite cool. Maybe a cube map is a bit better. Let's have a look at all the other options. So you're able to choose different type of projection types for 360 camera. Might be lagging a bit, so just gonna make sure it's not destroying my computer. So you can see that I can stream in 360, and you can then stream this to Twitch as well. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to open up my Twitch again. Dashboard. This is very cute. I won't be explaining the kind of animations too much, but you can also use animation assets. I've saved some animation assets previously, so you can see that. You can see that the outfit is not yet, but the character is already animated. If we go back to the kind of render target, it looks really funny. But yeah, there's just a thing here that you can. It's a very to stream. See text. I'm going to use the media output RTMP. I'm going to copy and paste the stream key and stream URL. Stream URL is this. I'm going to hit the same texture render target and hit start. And now I might just remove the torso outfit first, because it's not really tied to the body. All right, so if we go back to our stream manager, you'll see that we are outputting 360 texture like this. And those of you who are on YouTube a lot, you can also stream as a 360 texture. Yes, feel free to rewatch the recording, but I also do weekly tutorials and hangouts on the Offworld Discord. It's also streamed to YouTube, so you'll find a lot of assets there already. This is a really fun way to create content. I'm going to show you again super quickly how you can use different things in the toolkit. So I'm going to delete that. I'm going to make this back to normal. Cool. And now, what else can we do with the toolkit? Let's have a look. Another thing we can do is viewport capture. And then we'll use the same texture target again, but I'm just going to show you side by side how this captures whatever you see on the viewport. This is the quickest way for performance, for your computer to work super quickly. So I do recommend looking at that and using this for any lightweight streaming. It's super fast for your computer and it's not as heavy as the Cinecam. And that's about it. So today we've learned quite a lot of things on using not only the live streaming toolkit, but also learning to attach items on your metahumans over here. We've also learned how to use starter content to customize your metahuman. And most importantly, you can now wear any digital asset and stream as your avatar. And you can also platform yourself on Twitch, YouTube, so on and so forth, but also TikTok. So do a bit of research on RTMP. For example, TikTok will have it, Douyin, or lots of different options. And if you're interested to follow more on this project, I can open up the VTuber Studio GitHub link. I've worked many months on this project, I think, and you'll find a lot of documentation materials here as well. So here you'll find how it's used. I've created a Twitch NPC character called Lola that receives Twitch chat, and then it will trigger different kind of animations in the level. Again, I've mentioned about the media input and output and full body tracking options already. Here I've explained how body tracking is streamed to Unreal. And then what you can do with our Twitch plugin, so on and so forth. And again, a lot of you are amazing artists and designers and developers, so we would love to have your contributions. And some parts of the project are also developed by different members of Offworld Live, but also different community members who've built our audio blueprints. So this is something really, really that would be really grateful for if you kind of commit and create different assets for this project, and it's free to use for everyone. And to download this project, you simply have to go to the releases or clone with large file storage to get all the assets. Again, thank you so much for your time. I'm going to be hanging out for 10 or 15 minutes for you. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me anything. Yeah, thank you so much for your time, and I really appreciate you listening in. Thank you. Yes, I can definitely kind of export the presentation and send you a link. And this recording will also be on YouTube, I believe. If you want to revisit any of the steps, feel free to ask me directly, but also, yeah, have a look at the recording afterwards as well. But yeah, feel free to unmute and maybe also show your face, or if you want to show as a character, that's also fine. I wish I could just switch camera, but unfortunately, it seems that I need to refresh my Discord. So yeah, I think most of the appeal for working in Unreal Engine directly is I love the kind of real-time qualities, and like streaming and then being able to embody and track your kind of motion to that character is really interesting. So that's something I've been working on a lot. Yeah, it does come with the kind of investment in kind of tracking. There's a lot of need for animation blueprints and developers to make things smooth and more real time, like with less latency. So yeah, I find this area particularly interesting. But for today's tutorial, if you were a designer who's primarily focused on designing really beautiful assets, this is a great way to kind of visualize what it would look like on an animated character as well. Thank you so much. But yeah, I think it's a relatively easy step-by-step process for everyone to stream. So I feel like this kind of toolkit could be democratized really well, because I feel like it's not too hard to use. It's drag and drop with the texture, and there's a lot of community around this as well for real-time support. But super excited to see what you will come out doing, and like how you will decorate your character. So really exciting. And feel free to send me any email or DMs. So I started working in Unreal because I hated Unity. So I was originally trained, not really trained, mostly like self-taught. And I won't even call myself a Unity designer. I was interested in interaction design in general, and I loved how people used game engines for non-game engine purposes. So Unity is built for a lot of real-time installations, and you can communicate via WebSockets. You can make different little robots to kind of light up when you press play on a game. So I was interested in more that side of things, but I was horrible at scripting, and so I started learning Unreal on the side. And it's taken me I feel like I've only learned it for a year. I've probably only worked on Unreal for a year, but just by investing some time in learning blueprints, you'll also learn different C++ concepts. To this day, I still can't code. I do not have a background in game dev at all. So everything is self-taught. Some things are janky. Some things are not beautiful. But from a year ago, I knew nothing about Unreal. I probably knew about some 3D. So I started off learning Blender first. But now I can show you the kind of complexity of projects I can build. And I never went to class for it, so I can show you super quickly. Let me open up VTuber because I guess it's quite useful to see what kind of blueprints you can build. With Unreal, but it is quite fun. You just have to be. I think the fun is really the real time, and that you don't have to sit 30 hours to wait for an image to render. Is that it's really speaking to you. Whatever you're building can really communicate with you. The character. So the character at the beginning of the presentation is made for a project that in collaboration with a university in California, I think. It's still work in progress, and we're not going to really use that at all. But I have customized it enough, and I think I might be able to find a tutorial on how I create blend shapes for that. Again, I'm not really I'm not really good at design itself, and so a lot of these processes are very hacky. So I can show you how the blend custom morph targets can be done. Yes, metahumans and rigging takes so long. And so my last job was kind of in the field of rigging. And as you can see, so I'm going to share my screen again. This is the metahuman, same metahuman as you saw earlier, but it was from VTuber Studio. And as you can see, I have attached outfits to it. So this is the outfit, and it is rigged to the metahuman skeleton. And what I've done is that I've exported metahuman body. So if you click on this metahuman, go to body, you'll find that each metahuman has a specific kind of specific structure, you can say, or specific type of skeleton. So this is a female, tall, underweight body. And if you navigate to content browser, you can export this as an FBX over here. You can export this as an FBX, which you can then bring to your chosen 3D software. I use Blender, and then you can put anything around this body. I can also show this super quickly. Again, I'm not passionate about rigging because it's extremely manual. I can show you super quickly how it works. So I'm going to just export this on my downloads, in my downloads folder. And then I've opened up Blender. I've deleted all the things in there, and I'm going to import the body, the female, tall, underweight body, which is here, and import FBX. So this is the body you'll be working with. Let's say you work with a lot of different 3D assets. I might just try something really rogue that might not even work, but I'm going to find any FBX I can find. It's a bit hard to find just like outfits out of my very messy downloads folder, but maybe this normal FBX. Forget that it doesn't have. So let's say this character doesn't have any skeleton at all, and you want to just rig this to the body. And the way I've always done it is first you need to apply transform on your clothing. Just imagine this character as a piece of clothing. You'll need to assign this object to a skeleton with empty groups. So what this means is that inside this root, we have, these are now neighbors or siblings in the hierarchy. And then you would click on first the metahuman body, and then second the clothing, and go into weight paint, transfer weight. And then in the kind of open up menu, choose by name all layers. Because I've done this a million times, I've just remembered all of it. But now you can see, because I've positioned the thigh around the this bit of the character, so you'll see that different parts of the body are highlighted depending on where it is. So then you would then delete this body and then export as an FBX, re-import it in Unreal with the metahuman skeleton. And then you can assign it as a skeletal mesh. Sorry, it's really long, but that could be another session at some point. But yeah, have a look at that, all these live sessions on Offworld Live, which I'll walk through some bits and bobs. But so the metahumans and rigging is has that specific workflow, and obviously fashion items are super diverse, so you'll have to be quite selective on which things to rig. What programs are in my workflow? Usually, I've kind of moved away from 3D modeling in general, so I primarily only work in Blender and Unreal. And if I need to sculpt something or remesh something, I use ZBrush. But I tend to use everything for free. Some of you might also know that Unreal will be charging users in 2024. So it might be increasingly hard for non-game users to work in Unreal. But I'm trying to just look for a lot of open source options to make sure that this is accessible and free, because I hate paying for software. Unfortunately, that's reality. how do I visualize profiting commercially from creating non-game interactive fashion content? So there are different digital fashion platforms, and there is a marketplace for these digital fashion assets. From what I've seen now in the kind of digital fashion space, there's a lot of 3D assets being designed, which is then rendered and then composited over an image of like a given client, let's say. I think that is one way to kind of dress a client, but what I'm more interested in is how this 3D asset can interact with a human body, real time again. So I used to work and make AR filters a lot on Instagram. So I use Spark AR to make filters a lot. And that was, I guess, commercial work. But yeah, I think I'm more interested in the kind of developing systems and interactions now for Unreal, which the type of projects I get are very different, and it might not be as piece by piece. It might not be like a piece rate type of commission. Yeah, so it really depends on platforms. There are like DressX or 010 app, and there's also Genera, I believe, which support the kind of like sales and marketplace of digital fashion assets. But I think it will take some time for that to be profitable. So my personal advice is to kind of do a lot of collaborations with people, because that's usually the best way to work and it's the most exciting. So currently I just love helping friends out or find new collaborators to work with. Yeah, and maybe meet new people on Discord like you all. But yes, thank you so much. And just let me know. I'll just be chilling in the background. Thank you.
I think we're about to come up on the hour mark. So if we could have one more question, or we can wrap it up here.
Amazing.
Mm.
Thank you so much.
All right, I think we're about okay to wrap it up here. So not to reiterate what everyone else is saying, but thank you very, very much for spending your time with us and sharing your knowledge with the cohort. You mentioned interest in sharing the slides, did you? I could facilitate that through Google Drive and like privately share it to just the residents. And if you could just send it to me afterwards, that'd be great. And yeah, thank you very, very much for all of this.
Amazing. Yeah, really nice to meet you all, and feel free to keep in touch. I'm always around Instagram or Discord and everything. But thank you.
Fantastic. We'll resend your socials, and yeah, have a great evening, everyone.